All right, guys, we're back at it again. I know it's late, and I do apologize. We're getting out a video for One Piece chapter 1170. It dropped a few days ago. I'm a little behind. It is the holiday season, and we all have stuff going on. So I want to go ahead and wish everybody happy holidays. I hope you're having a great time with your family. I hope everybody's honestly just doing great and having a good time. Let's end out 2025 the best we can, and let's get 2026 moving, and let's kill it in 2026. Also, I will go ahead and say real quickly, this is going to be about a year I've been posting on YouTube at this point. I think my first video went up of the 28th of September, I think, in 2024. I haven't done too many videos in the course of a year. I got out probably more than I would have guessed had I guessed earlier last year what it would have been. I will say, though, I do appreciate everybody who watches the videos. I'm going to give a real shout out to my brother Jason. I really appreciate you. You watch literally every video I put out multiple times. I really do appreciate it. Between you and then the other people I do have watching my videos, it does mean a lot. So I really do appreciate it. With that being said, getting out of all the mushy stuff, let's get into the One Piece chapter live reaction. It's 1170. I haven't heard anything about this chapter, but I'm betting it's probably going to be pretty good. We ended off last chapter 1169 with Loki seeing the hammer and the treasure chest sitting there. And we already know that the hammer in of itself seems to be kind of like a homie or alive, so maybe we'll get to figure out exactly what's up with his hammer. If not, hopefully we'll get to learn the devil fruit, maybe both. I'm really curious, because honestly, getting to figure out what Loki's powers are and what the special fruit of Elbaf is going to be really gnarly. So getting into it, we are on the cover page. We are not the only one. It's many of the Shonen Jump characters at the moment, but Luffy is in the front, of course. Pretty normal, like Japanese style attire. I guess it's called like maybe a kimono. I'll be honest, I'm not sure, so forgive me if that's wrong. But he does have a cool straw hat fan. Oda's notes: my appreciation for Amy Wine. I'm sorry. My appreciation for Amy Winehouse has grown since I saw her movie Back to Black and learned more about the meaning behind her lyrics. So now we know Oda likes Amy Winehouse. I'm not a big Amy Winehouse guy, but good for you, Oda. All right, chapter 1170, titled Contradictions, guys. Let's get into it. The cover page request by 420 Eon. Jinbei as a ticket clerk for an eel train, serving bentos. And it's the little straw hats all running up to get bentos and ride on the eel train. And Jinbei's just handing them a box of bentos. Really cool seeing Jinbei dressed up like that. Like a clerk. He's got a whole vest and like a suit and tie on. It's pretty cool. We see little Luffy. Funny enough, he's got the 56 shirt. That's Gomu, which is why if you guys didn't know, that's why Luffy wears 56 a lot. It's literally Go-Mu 5-6. Gomu no Mi, right? We see Sanji and Zoro bickering in the back. We got Usopp staring at the ship itself. Robin, who would be a teenager at the time of them all being kids, or maybe a young adult. I don't know how much older Robin is. I know it's a fair amount. I think it's over a decade older than everybody else. So she's significantly older. She's the one buying all the bentos. And then we see Chopper, who looks like, I'll be honest, with how young they are, I don't even think Chopper is supposed to be born. I mean, if the Straw Hats are this young, they're all probably, 10 or more years before this. So this is probably when they're like 7, 8, 9, right? And the Straw Hats are only, 19, 21, some of them. The main ones, or the first ones. So I don't know if Chopper should technically even be alive if they're this young, but maybe he would be, and that's why he is so little. We don't see his face either. All right, well, let's get into the chapter now. The hammer sneak attack? ? The hammer flies at Loki and destroys a pillar. It looks like he jumps over to dodge it. He yells, "Bastard, who threw that hammer? Come on out." And he goes over to the room where the chest was again, and there's got to be somebody in here, he says, looking around. "Whatever, I have to eat the devil fruit," says Loki, as he hears chitter behind him. The hammer is beginning to squeak and chitter. Crack, crack, boom, and it lifts out of the ground, and it flies right at Loki again, as Loki takes off running. And he says, "Whoa, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way it's that heavy." As it's literally breaking the floor right around them. Loki climbing up the rocks trying to escape. "The hell is going on? Is this decrepit old castle just falling apart?" And then we cut over to Harold. "Your efforts are futile, Loki. Generations of rulers have watched over that devil fruit, yet for centuries it has gone uneaten. Not by choice, but because no one could eat it. says Harald. So we figured that they were holding it until the right person. Now we come to find out that it's just that the fruit or the hammer would never let anybody eat it. Ragnar simply hasn't deemed anyone worthy. But with my current strength. Right when he says that, Harald gets cut. It looks like it's by an axe and a sword. And, yep, it's Shanks and Scopper. We then cut to them saying after they cut Harald, those wounds are clearly causing him a lot of pain. His healing abilities are struggling to keep up, says Shanks. Then cuts back to Scopper. Don't let up, and he'll eventually be driven into a corner. Folks like him are weak to Conqueror's hockey coding. Yabon, Harald says, looking down at him. You dare oppose me? As he swings his axe down at him. They both dodge. You bet. We can't let you run wild just because you've gone crazy. Yabon-san, you're familiar with the weakness of the Knights of God? ? I can't remember how many times they tried to take you back. This is big news. I'm going to slow down my reading. That's big news coming out of Scopper. I can't remember how many times they tried to take you back. So they came after the Roger power. So we didn't only learn that the God's Knights and Emu and all those powers are weak to Conqueror's hockey because of the clash on God Valley between Garp and Roger, but rather because they came after them multiple times knowing or finding out that they had to be the ones who had Shanks once they started seeing him around, and then they tried to take him back from him. And I guess Shanks must not remember this very clearly, as the Roger Pirates must have done a really great job of stopping him. If Shanks had no clue that he was ever being targeted, they must have been putting these guys down pretty quick. It then cuts to a flashback. That red-haired boy, we know you have him. He looks just like our captain's son. Hand him over, says the Celestial Dragons, or the CP agents, government agents, to the Roger Pirates. Back then, I'd slice him up and we'd send him packing, he says. Oh yeah, that Summers guy did mention something like that, Shanks thinks and says out loud. Scopper says those were the days. Frankly, it's surprising that a fighting force like that originates from the Holy Land. Most celestial dragons are useless. That's a good point from Scopper. Now maybe we'll get to find out why. Shanks then says those guys consider themselves divine, living sedentary lives and keeping well clear of our world. Meanwhile, my life's always giving me the chills, says Shanks. Then Scopper just says dots, ... and then he cuts to say, you can call that fate. Yabon-san, I want to save Harald, but you're the one who told me how hopeless it is when someone becomes a Knight of God. He then says, I'm afraid Loki's our best bet, is what he says to Shanks. Don't make me repeat myself. Move it, Hammer, says Loki to Ragnar. As the Hammer and him are both wheezing. I'm sorry, so the Hammer can wheeze. Good to know. So you're basically the National Treasure's guardian. How can you even move? What is going on? As it begins to fly towards him, he says, I am so over this, and swings his hammer right at Ragnar, and it just crushes his hammer when they clash. Yeah, my hammer, says Loki, as Ragnar punk and lands on the ground, and then, oh, here we go, guys. We're gonna get to see it. So Ragnar bounces off the ground, he hits the ground, and then he turns into a squirrel, or what looks like a squirrel. And he's got a little knot coming out, like it's a squirrel with the hammer part of Ragnar still coming out of its head. And there's like a little, like a bump, like a wound, kind of like they do in cartoons, where you hit somebody real hard and a bubble kind of comes up. Kind of like that, coming out of the front of the hammer. And then the squirrel's just crying and going, shh. Then we cut back to Harald and the fight with Yabon and Shanks and the guards. Be gone, he says, swinging, probably taking out more guards. Cuts over to Shanks. How are we supposed to end this? Yabon. Well, honestly, I've never fought one who has Conquerors too. I would say that would be a problem. If the God's Knights also have Conquerors hockey, you then have to bypass their Conquerors hockey and, I guess, be stronger than that to make your Conquerors do... Kind of like with armament, you have to have stronger armament than the person. that you're fighting in order to damage them, right? Kind of like how when Luffy and Katakuri clashed and he used Block Mochi against Luffy's regular Haki, right? And that was like his upgraded version, essentially, how it ended up hurting Luffy when they would clash because his Haki was that much stronger. I'm thinking it's probably like that with the Conqueror's Haki, in that your Conqueror's Haki is going to have to be a lot stronger than your opponent, if they're a God's Knight especially, to bypass their Conqueror's Haki and then still do damage to them using your own. That would be my current guess. We then cut to, who is this? Jarl, who says, "Soldiers, stop Harald. We can't allow him to get his hands on that devil fruit." As the guards are just continuing to be cut down by Harald. They're sticking swords in him, spears through him, doesn't matter. He's just absolutely cutting them down. And then we cut over back to Loki and the squirrel. The squirrel has opened up the devil fruit, and it's literally the size of a freaking acorn, guys. This is the smallest devil fruit we've ever seen. But, to be fair, it's probably a normal-sized devil fruit, and these are fucking giants. So it should be that small. But, I mean, it's so small. It's a little spiky. It's kind of like I mean, it's like a little spiky ball. Literally. Loki eats it. And he begins to grow claws and some things out of him. And now my guess, I'm going to tell you guys what my thought is. I'm thinking we're probably going to have something like the Fenrir fruit. And that is solely based on the fact that we have had... Fenrir is a big part of Viking, history, I guess. Or, it's like a creature in their mythology, right? And so maybe not Viking, my bad. The mythology of, I guess, kind of like Vikings. Because the giants here seem to be based off of what we have like Vikings in our world, right? So it takes similar myth is what they seem to both believe in, or the same myths. And Fenrir is a part of their mythology. And then also earlier on in Elbaf, we already saw a kid who was afraid of Fenrir, and he had a nightmare about it. And that's why there was a nightmare Fenrir that came out because of Quilladin, whatever his name was, the other god's knight, from his fruit that could summon dreams, right? So my thought is Loki's now going to become something like Fenrir. And what's interesting is the squirrel. I don't know mythology real well, but I'm pretty sure that there is a squirrel that lives in like the Yggdrasil tree in mythology, I think. So that would actually make sense why the hammer is really a squirrel. And we already kind of knew it was going to be his own devil fruit, because so far we've only been shown that if an inanimate object can possess a fruit or is living, it's due to Big Mom making it a homie, or it's devil fruit. All right, continuing to cut forward, we then just hear a big roar from the transformation. Lots of guards all around him seem to be freaking out. The squirrel, Ragnir, the hammer goes squeak, and he's so happy. All right. We then see the big transformation taking off, so I'm guessing that's a Loki running off in his new form. We then cut back to Harald in the middle of the castle, where he's cut down pretty much all the guards. There's flames everywhere. He then cuts over and asks, "Did you eat it, Loki?" "Show me its legendary power," he says, as he begins to try to cut down, I guess, what's in front of him, which I'm guessing is Loki, who's appeared in front of him. We're just not getting to see him in his form. Yep, based on these panels, that's what's happening. All right, so he slices at Loki. It appears as though Loki takes the slash or stops it and actually hits Harald and sends him back. Actually cuts into him quite a bit, as he has 3 massive chunks missing from his body or more. He then gets hit again, gets hit again and again, and then we cut over to what looks like Loki in his form grabbing Harald by his head with his claws and lifting him up. I can't tell by the silhouette what he is. I don't know if Fenrir is a good guess. I mean, claws would make me think it could be Fenrir, but that's it. He then turns back into regular Loki and uses Ragnir. Conqueror hockeys him up, and then he goes to hit him. Harald then says, "I knew it, Loki. You have the blood of a conqueror flowing inside you." "Hey, if you've come back to your senses, then it won't last. Don't drop your guard," says Harald. "Look around. I'm beyond redemption anyway." Loki begins to cry. "You were being controlled, weren't you?" Harald says, "Not quite. It's more like that thing is influencing my thoughts. I started to consider myself a god." "You have what it takes to lead Elbaf well. Try to get along with your brother, though. Or try to get along more with your brother, though. You're the worst, you know that?" Loki says to him. "Having your own son take your life, what kind of a father does that? One last thing, I almost forgot. I wanted to thank you about Ida." "What are you, burning down Alcohol Village? Didn't make her better, but... ... I was touched by how much you love her." You then see Harald pointing at himself and going, "Hurry, it's taking me over again," after he pounds his chest. "I'll never forgive you for making me do all the dirty work here," says Loki, swinging Ragnar at him, as we then cut to Harald right in his, what could be his last moments, saying, "I love you too." And boom, massive lightning strike hits the castle right while Loki seems to be swinging Ragnar. Yep, and then we cut to a panel where he's hitting Harald right in the middle of the chest with Ragnar, and it's literally blowing him to pieces. Like lightning is shooting through him, like it's literally, like he is falling to pieces, like he's made of stone. And then we cut to Harald's inner thoughts. "Loki, my dear son, the only thing that really matters is securing Elbaf's future. Only memories last." And that's the end of the chapter. Alright, so really cool. I'm going to go ahead and say we did not learn what Loki's power is, but we got more hints at it. Oda wants to keep kind of drawing that out from us for about as long as he can. This is going to be nearly the end of the backstory. I'm guessing we're going to have maybe one more chapter. And then we're going to be cutting back to real time, or next chapter might be a little bit before, like right after this, like the end of Harald. What happens next, where Loki tells the story to the people, because Loki still has to be viewed as a bad and awful person rather than as a savior to Elbaf. So we're going to kind of have to actually see that kind of happen. Really cool chapter, though. We did get to find out that Ragnar has a devil fruit and is a squirrel. My question is he just a squirrel, or is it like a legendary squirrel fruit? Like, you know, like a mythical fruit model, the mythical squirrel fruit model. I don't know. That's all I can think of. Tell you what, real fast, I will see. All right, so the most famous mythical squirrel is, and this is exactly what I was thinking it is. It's from Norse mythology. It's called, I don't want to butcher its name too bad. Ratatoskr, Ratatoskr, Ratatoskr. Forgive me, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. He's a speedy messenger who runs up and down the world tree Yggdrasil, carrying insults between the eagle at the top and the serpent at the bottom, at the roots, embodying gossip and communication. Only myth or other myth featuring squirrels typically make them tricksters or helpers. There's Hindu lore with one. It says there's one in Russian lore, Ainu legends, gossip, stuff like that. But my guess is that he has the Ratatoskr fruit. So odds are it's the mythical squirrel zone. Ratatoskr is what it is, and that's what Ragnar has. Wondering if it gives him the lightning powers, because clearly Loki has lightning powers with the new hammer. We just saw that. That, or it could be from his fruit that gives him the lightning powers. I guess we'll have to wait to see. So I'm wondering if it's the hammer that has it, or if it's Loki. Either way, I'm thinking now Loki might have got the Fenrir fruit. That's my best guess. And that the hammer has Ratatoskr. But that seems to be the case, is that's the fruit that the hammer has. Loki's fruit, I'm sure we'll find out next chapter, probably, to be honest with you. I will say this is a really good chapter. It doesn't say we're going on break, though we always could, considering it's the end of the year, start of the next year, and we typically have some break times kind of coming in around now. Well, with that being said, I'll be honest, it's the 30th, guys. I will see if I can get a video out tomorrow, too, just to get one more video out this year for fun. If I do, it'll be something completely random. I work tomorrow, too, and I don't think I work late, but I'll do my best to get something out. Probably be something more fun, like some of the other shorter videos I've put out in the past. Not another One Piece chapter live reaction. Could be a One Piece video. Considering that's what most of my channel's been on this year, I could do a wrap on like what all I did this year on the channel. Go over the briefest stuff that happened in One Piece from the start of this year to the end of this year. I might do that. Maybe I'll just hop on and I'll reread all the chapters from my first review this year to my last review, this one, reread them all, and then just write down the most briefest stuff that happened that I can summarize for you guys. Because I'm not going to lie, if I'm not mistaken, almost this entire year we spent in the flashback. I swear we have been in this flashback for ages. I'm not going to check right now, But it's been a while, and I will say, I did say a few videos ago or more that I figured we were going to be ending the flashback by around the end of the year, start of next year, and that's exactly what we're doing. Not that that's a crazy prediction, but it does seem to be true. We're almost done with it now, so we'll probably be done with it here shortly. My guess, like I said, next chapter might be the end of it. We might end it and like get back to the Straw Hats in that chapter. That's my current guess. Like the very last couple pages of the chapter are going to be us cutting back to like the real time and like Hyrule hearing the whole story, and then them all like the Luffy, Hyrule, and Loki all heading up to go and actually fight the Gods Knights. That's how I'm guessing next chapter is going to end. So we'll see though, and then we'll find out what Loki's fruit is. Interesting though. Interesting, honestly. Really good chapter. I'd give this like a solid 9 out of 10. Very strong. Very good. But with that being said, I am going to hop off here, guys. Try to keep it at a decent length. I do hope everybody has had a wonderful week or so since my last video. I hope everybody's had great holidays. We just had Christmas. Hanukkah was like, what? I don't remember. I think Hanukkah ends the day before Christmas Eve on the 23rd, but I think it spans about a week. So we've had Hanukkah. We've had Christmas. Forgive me, there's other holidays, like I think Boxing Day and stuff like that. And then now we're coming into New Year's, so lots of stuff going on. I just hope everybody's had a great time, has gotten to have fun with their family, and I hope everybody's doing well. Like I said at the start of the video, it's been about a year of me making stuff, so I really am happy to still be doing it, that I've kept up with it, at least enough to still be putting something out. Man, sorry guys, that's my cat scratching a box. But I really do appreciate everybody who watches any of my videos and all the support I've had throughout the entire year. Again, big shout out to my brother Jason. He absolutely kicks ass. He's a big part of why I still do this, because he gives me the reason to keep doing it. So I appreciate, thanks Club. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you, Jason. And honestly, I hope everybody has a really great week to come, and I will do what I can to get another video out tomorrow too. All right, Glob, say bye to the people. Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. Later.